It is absolutely miserable outside today, and you know what? That is not going to stop me from making my DnDaily video today. I'm Gregory, this is 1 in 20 DnD, and welcome to DnDaily number 31, I think, if my counting is correct. And today I'm wearing The Masters t-shirt, and you can see Dungeon Master here on it. So I hope if you haven't ever checked it out, you would take a minute and go watch the old 80s cartoon. It was super fun and funny, and it was certainly an influence on me getting into Dungeons and Dragons. It's campy as hell, and so take it with a grain of salt if you do watch it. And if you remember it like I do, it's probably dear to your heart. Venger, I think, is still one of the greatest villains of all time in the Dungeons and Dragons universe. I'd love to see him come back in some kind of epic, campaign or something like that. Of course, Tiamat as well. They did Tiamat for sure because, of course we had Tyranny of Dragons and all that. So, sort of incorporated Tiamat back into the mythology in 5e. However, anyway, I'm not going to go on about this old school cartoon, but man, it was fun and funny, and if you can get your hands on a copy or check it out online, I certainly recommend it. It is silly and fun and just inspirational on a certain level for us old school dudes, I guess, and dudettes, because I have certainly talked to gals who remember it as well. Anyway, enough about cartoons and that silliness. Although, I really would love to see, if you haven't watched it, there is are you familiar with the Dragonlance series? Dragonlance was written by Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman. Fantastic series of books. And again, another thing that got me involved in Dungeons and Dragons way back when. It was the first book that I chose to read. And for long time, like years and years and years, favorite books, favorite trilogies. It's an introduction into sort of another aspect of Dungeons and Dragons and the party dynamic and complex and all that kind of thing. And just great books. Well, I found out about a year or so ago, I found out that they actually did a cartoon for the first book, and I watched it, and it wasn't half bad. It was pretty decent. I liked it, and I actually feel like I want to watch it again. It's not like super long or anything, so it's entertaining and interesting, and I think D&D cartoons are a really awesome idea. The intro that Critical Role has done, the 2 or 3 different intros, like the one they did for D&D Beyond, is fantastic. It's short, but man, I think I don't see why there couldn't be with where technology and where art has gone to especially with animation. I can't imagine we can't see another totally epic, awesome Dungeons and Dragons cartoon. I would love to see that. Now, Battletech, another RPG that I talk about, had a cartoon as well back in the day, and I'm not talking about Robotech, because Robotech was dope. That was super cool. And Robotech and Battletech are sort of kind of the same thing. They're these giant robots that are piloted by humans. That's the same premise, right? But Battletech, they actually did a cartoon series of Battletech, and I tried to watch it, and oh my god, I don't know the recording quality or whatever. I tried to check it out on YouTube and it was horrible. So I'm gonna probably grit my teeth at some point and go back and try to watch those again. But oh god, that was brutal. However, D&D, I feel like there could be a revival with some of that for sure. I know Joe Manganiello has also talked about perhaps doing a live action, like an actual actors in the roles plus special effects and all this of the Dragonlance series. He would love to probably spearhead that or whatever. That would be epic. It is an incredible story and would make, I think, a fantastic movie. the likes of which of something on the lines of like a Lord of the Rings series. I mean, that was epic storytelling. That was high fantasy, like, could be essentially Dungeons and Dragons, although it's the Lord of the Rings, right? So we all know that. It's a story that was told by J.R.R. Tolkien, and he wrote The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings and all this. It's sort of a different universe, let's call it, than the Dungeons and Dragons universe. But man, I mean, it gives you this idea of what could be done. So wouldn't that be awesome? I mean, I would love to see that. That would excite me quite a lot. And I don't know why that's on my mind. I guess because when I started recording this video, I realized this was the shirt I was wearing today. Now, I don't know who these other masters are. I think one of them is from Dragon Ball Z, and the other's from Naruto, but I have no idea. Obviously, I recognize Master Yoda, and one of these days I'll talk more about like Edge of the Empire and playing some more of that, because that is a super fun role-playing game if you haven't checked that out. But anyway, if you know who these two are, please let me know. I'd appreciate that. In the meantime, let me zoom in there. Let's get a good view of these gentlemen, these little squat masters. Isn't it funny that they're all these little dudes, right? So anyway, that's enough about cartoons. Let me get back to some other stuff. You know, I was thinking, I kind of feel like I suck as a DM. I'm so new at this. I only have like one campaign sort of under my belt. I mean, we've played over 50 sessions, but still I feel so new to this. And I know I'm getting some feedback that everybody's having fun and having a good time, which is awesome. That's kind of what I want. But then now I've started this actual like sitting at a table playing Dungeons and Dragons, and it's a whole new experience as a DM. I've been playing for years. I love playing. I think I'm a pretty good player, but dang, as a DM, I am not feeling confident at all. However, yesterday's game went pretty well. I really didn't have a whole lot planned. I thought there was a couple of different ways they could go in. They had a few rumors that they could look into. Plus, there's this whole town there's this small town for them to still continue exploring. They certainly haven't talked to everyone in town. They've talked to about half of the important NPCs in town, probably less than half of the important NPCs in town. They did have one rumor from a few sessions back, maybe last 2 sessions past. I'm not sure. I don't recall exactly. It might have even been from the first session. But they had another rumor that they had the opportunity to investigate. They went back to town. Our barbarian decided he wanted to have a shield to boost his AC a little bit. So they all went to not the smith. They actually went to the kind of weapons merchant in town. He's this half orc, and the player character is a half orc. So they sort of bonded as like half-orc brothers, you know. So that was kind of fun. Some good role-playing. And I kind of, like I said I was going to do, I sort of just like let the characters take the reins as much as I could. And I just interacted with them as the NPCs. So on one level, I feel pretty good about how it went. On another level, I still feel totally unprepared for each session. And I'm trying to become okay with it. Because, like, we did, not really necessarily an encounter, but they did some exploration, and it is something out of this setting, the campaign setting, so they did dig into some of it, and it's cool. We're moving the story along. They have some stuff to investigate further now, and they also have some interesting rabbits to chase, I suppose you could say. So we'll see where it goes. I think our next session next week is going to be a pretty interesting one, and we'll probably start the next step of their like, oh my goodness, kind of like, this is what D&D is really about, and maybe help me get things more moving with the story as far as like this kind of bigger intrigue that's happening in the world around them. So, I don't know. We'll see. I have no idea. I don't know what's going to happen. That's what's kind of fun and exciting about it, but also creates this kind of like, oh no, I don't know what to do, and it's a challenge. So hopefully I'll get better at it as a DM. What are your experiences as DMs? Or with your DMs if you're players? You know, what are the good, the bad, the ugly of DMing? Can you help me think a little bit about that and share your thoughts about that? And in the meantime, let's see each other at a table someday and keep rolling 20s.